the Novritsch SSP28. Less a disclaimer and more a celebration. This is a sponsored video by Novritsch. That's right, this sponsored video now makes me an official collaborator with the Novritsch team. Like every other video you will ever see on this channel, I want to be abundantly clear when I say that Novritsch sent this to me with zero restrictions and just asked that I share my honest and genuine opinions. There are a few questions we're looking to answer in this review video. Is the SSP28 worthy of the sidearm to get you out of a jam? Or should you jam it in a closet, never to be seen again? Let's officially unbox and see what this crazy Airsoft Austrian whipped up in the lab. You see, the SSP20... magnets! You see, the SSP28 dances on the line between a Glock and a high kappa. It's got the profile of one of the most popular sidearms to date, but with an evil little experimental twist. Specifically, I'm looking to address that insane split slide design. What's even crazier is it's not all just looks, there's a reason for it. Specifically, being that the slide is smaller, it requires less gas power to blow the unit backwards. And with it being so much lighter, those recoil springs don't need to work as hard in order to bring it forward. Less gas needed, more spring power, basically just adds up to more gas efficiency and higher cyclic rate. Something very typical to the G style of replica also means the barrel is free-floating. On the 28, it's not. It's held in place by screws, which means you'll increase your accuracy as well. Let's check out all them bells and whistles. There is absolutely no movement. Everything is rock solid from top to bottom, including the barrel, the front of the slide, and the lower. And the slide that does move back is negligible wiggle, if any at all. Your peepers can look through the rear irons, which have a small little white dot and are made of polymer, and a front iron sight that has a small red fiber optic jammed in the center. This is a very common grip pattern for a lot of the Novritsch replicas. It's almost got like this honeycomb or like wafer style pattern to it, and it's pretty comfortable in the hands. I do wish there was a little bit more stippling, but it's not like uncomfortable. The shape of the grip is very candy bar-esque. There's not a lot of form to it. It's just kind of like a rounded rectangle. Again, not super uncomfortable, but not the most comfortable thing in the world. Just looking at the general shape, I believe your magazine release is actually ambidextrous. If you were to pull that guy out and switch it around, it's just one giant rectangle and it protrudes quite far away from the grip. There is no protection around it, so just be careful. You don't want to accidentally release your mags. Two things about the grip that I really do love is this cutout for the middle finger, which is extremely comfortable directly under the trigger guard, as well as the beaver tail that helps you avoid some slide bite. There's actually some cuts up in the front of the trigger guard as well, I would assume to help with gripping it on the front end, and a rail on the bottom if you want to attach any torches or tiny little grenade launchers. You'll notice a setting of 5 holes on either side, and this is to attach their universal holster mount, and we'll install that in just a second. The trigger has your standard style Glock safety, which is a lever directly in the center, so if your finger isn't positioned directly on the center of the trigger, it won't release to activate the hammer. The slide is made completely of aluminum, and it's got some nice grips that'll allow you to grip it and pull that slide back, even if your hands are sweaty. And just behind the grips on the left side, you could see your semi and your fun mode switch, which locks solid into place and doesn't feel loose like it's going to just fall apart. So that's nice. The mag catch is positioned just exactly where you'd imagine it would be positioned, and really cool, it is ambidextrous. It's large enough where you won't be fishing around with your fingers to try and find it in the dark, but it's not too large to where I might activate it on accident. So directly at the top of the slide is a small little indicator. You could see a plus and a minus, and that just means it's your hop up, and the hop up can be adjusted by that small little grub screw up in the top. It's a standard run-of-the-mill TDC hop up. One of my favorite things here are the 6 ports on the front, as well as the typical Novritsch style corkscrew outer barrel. And another thing I wanted to mention, your threads are a standard 14mm counterclockwise, and this is not the cap that you'll be receiving with it. Mine just came pinned in as a plastic orange tip, and I didn't want to look at that, so I threw this on. Totally legal. The one that comes with it looks more like that. And you see, the SSP28 isn't the only thing that Novritsch sent me. They included 2 extra mags, 2 holsters to fit my already existing kit in the color amber, an RMR adapter, and the universal holster adapter. The RMR adapter takes a little while to install, so we'll do that on a separate video. We'll install that universal holster adapter and get this thing ready to field. Just popping open the universal holster adapter. You've got the adapter plate, and you should also have the hardware to install it. And they look like they all come Loctited in place. And just like bang, and all 5 of those babies are installed, and that thing is not going anywhere. Now to run this bad boy, you're going to need one of these really cool adapters, and it's got a small button at the top, and all you have to do is index it inside of that small little clamshell, and that's going nowhere.
No! God, please, no!
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. And again, all I have to do to release it is press that button. Gotta get used to that. There it is. One more thing before we shoot it, let's take a look at the mags. They index, wow, minimal movement up and down, a little forward and back, a little side to side, but those are pretty rock solid in place. They are your standard like G-Spec mag with the router at the top and the release on the back. Typical hard to load Glock feed lips. The follower you could pull down, and you'll see you start loading your BBs from all the way down here. Plus, it's also got the ability to run this guy ambidextrously, which is really nice. And something cool, I've actually owned Novritsch Glock mags in the past, but I've never seen them with the base cap on them, which is really cool. I actually love the way this looks, and your fill valve is just at the base of that. And it isn't too deep, so you can just fill it from here. For the rest of this video, I want to let you know that every single part of it will be filmed with 0.25 gram BBs and some high pressure, or basically red gas from Lancer Tactical, brand new bottle by the way, because it's around 50 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Now during the first unboxing that we did, we actually tested this with a T238 speed loader, and notoriously Glock style mags are really hard with the feed lips to fill them with anything other than a standard speed loader, like any of the Odin loaders, adapters, and electric loaders tend not to work. But I did figure out if we just pull the follower back first and find the correct angle, it'll load just fine, pretty much the entire mag. Now this is that fun part of the video where we are going to test out some of the gas efficiency of the SSP28. We'll start this bad boy on semi or not so fun mode, and I just want to see on an overfilled gas mag how many BBs or how many mag fills of BBs we can get out of a single gas fill. And again, remember, it's a little overfilled. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. It's my first time firing this thing besides like the handful of shots we fired at the table when we unboxed it. So I'm really excited to see its cyclic rate standing behind it. 3, 2, 1. Oh, there's no recoil to that. It's like a small little jitter, but it's quick. That is so snappy. Woo! Go for the further target. Can I hit that? Hop-up's not dialed in. Bang. And we did lock back. Let's pull that mag out, and I'm just going to fill it with BBs again. Again, this is the same mag, 0 cooldown time, and imperfectly stacked, because that's probably how you'll be doing it in the game. And let's run it for a second mag. That first one was great. And we did lock back, and it doesn't seem like we're slowing down at all, which, if you don't know, that's pretty solid for a Glock mag. Here we go. Mag 3. I don't think we're blowing back far enough. You see we're like skipping shots? We're not feeding anymore. All right, so we got through successfully 2 full mags and then like half kind of jittery, which again, like I said, for Glock mags in like 50-degree Fahrenheit weather, that's pretty solid. And that really, I'm going to attribute a lot of that to the fact that we have that split slide design. So you're going to have a lot more gas efficiency because it needs less gas to blow this guy back. Brand new mag fill with gas, brand new mag fill with BBs, and let's switch this guy off to fun mode, or really fast semi mode. And again, I overfill these mags with gas just to see how much these things can handle. So what I'm going to do to make sure that it doesn't like overburst gas too much is I'm not going to lay down the trigger right away. I'll give it like a small burst or 2, and then we'll finish it off and see how many mag fills of gas we can handle. Now again, remember, due to the light slide, this thing should have a ridiculous cyclic rate, which I'm really looking forward to. They claim 28 RPS on their website. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, that's evil! That is evil, and we emptied the mag. Like I said, we tested that a little bit when we first unboxed it, but like that's the first time that I've stood behind it and done that, and just that feels great. I'm getting TM Extreme 45 vibes, the original fastest out-of-the-box high kappa that you can purchase, and it only fired in full auto, so this is very, very similar. This time, since it's the second mag, I don't know how it's going to handle, but I am just going to lay down the law and give it zero forgiveness. In 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Okay, so as expected, on fun mode, we did a little bit worse with one full mag completely clear and then about half of a mag. I think if we bursted through that, we wouldn't have a problem, but still a little bit of gas in there, but like not enough to successfully continue to run that. Overall, in terms of like firing experience, this thing's a smoke show. And something really cool that I noticed is when you have this adapter on, it almost works like a little bit of a gas pedal, which is really, really fun. All right, so next what I want to do is adjust the hop up and see what kind of work we're putting in at about like 75, 80 feet. So I've got the purple target down there, and we'll kind of just start to dial this guy in and see what we're shooting like. Again, these are .25s. Let me just see. Okay, so we're shooting a little bit high. It's got some good power to it. It's throwing those 2.5s upwards. Let's try that. Hopefully I can find that Allen key. All right, we're flying, no problems. Now that the hop-up's adjusted, I want to test out the power. Pull out the chronograph, and we're just going to set it for the .25s that we're running. And let's test her out. I'll just call it as I see it here. That's 273.9 FPS at 0.87 joules. 265 SPS at 0.82 joules. That's 265 FPS at 0.82 joules. 263.8 FPS at 0.81 joules. 262 FPS at 0.8 joules. 259.5 FPS at 0.78 joules. 261.2 FPS at 0.79 joules. 264.6 FPS at 0.81 joules. And 261.5 FPS at 0.79 joules. So taking a look, we are totally safe for our indoor field limits, so you'll be fine outdoor as a sidearm. This is great, or a primary. And it sits around like a 5 FPS fluctuation. Not bad at all, actually. For a sidearm, that's actually pretty good. And obviously, expected our first shot was pretty dang hot. All right, hooked up to the 360 cam. Hopefully everything's in profile. Why don't we just kind of get used to the ergonomics, run a couple drills or whatnot. We'll just empty 3 mags. Here we go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're not feeding? What happened? Mag malfunction? There we go. There it is. Switch hands is where I start to fail. Reload with the opposite hand. Oh, I feel special. All right, other hand. And we're out. When it comes to disassembly on the SSP28, it's a little bit different than your regular sidearm takedown, because obviously the split slide design in this stabilized barrel will require you not to just press a button or pull a lever to remove the slide. You actually have to attack number 1, 2, 3, and 4 screws in order to pop the slide off. And I'm going to do that now. With those 4 screws removed, all you're going to do now is take the small little hop-up plate off, and that's what holds your grub screw and your hop-up nut. Put that aside, and the entire front assembly should slide off. I'm going to have to remove my thread protector because this is not the one that comes with it. The one that does is a little bit smaller. Should have done this earlier. We're just going to pop the mag out. You can slide the front cap off the front, and you can notice we can keep the adapter on, which is really cool. You're going to take both of these springs and unhook them. You can see this is where those attach onto, which is super funky. They pull forward and up. And with both of those unlatched, just slide the rear off. It'll be a little bit tighter first because you have to set the hammer as well. And that's your general takedown. You can see how this all functions with those two little recoil springs, which is nice because it actually helps stabilize the slide as it moves forward. And then everything kind of towards the end looks very Glock reminiscent with the fire selector switch and the spring and detent, and then of course your nozzle, which is a little bit slow, could probably use a quick cleaning and some lubricant, but it worked just fine out of the box. This is the perfect time to show you that increased stability and accuracy you have out of the hop-up unit, outer barrel, inner barrel, and bucking, and those are all molded solid into the grip. They don't move unlike your Glock replicas. And I'm going to take this down now because I think that's important. You're likely going to need to upgrade or if not change your hop-up rubber at some point in the near future. For this, it will actually require you to take off the adapter, so these 5 screws, because you have to access the grub screw on the left side all the way up in the front of the hop-up unit. With those 5 loose, you can just pop this guy on out. Now again, it's as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4 grub screws. These back ones don't have grub screws. Those are the original ports that those screws on the side screwed into before. And 4 little grub screws pop out. Put those aside. Do not lose them. I repeat, don't lose them. Here's where things get a little tricky and you may have to DIY it. This barrel is actually threaded counterclockwise, so we have to twist it clockwise, and chances are you're not going to be able to grip at that. So what I like to do is a little duct tape method and wrap this guy in duct tape, and I'll use a pair of pliers just so we don't destroy the threads. Now in this case specifically, you cannot use too much because you really want to make sure those threads are protected, so get a good chunk of grip tape on there. And that should do just fine. You can use a vise with rubber pads or just a pair of pliers, and again we are going to twist the barrel clockwise, and you can see it start to turn. I like to hold on to the hop unit just to stabilize it. After once or twice of doing this, it should be able to be done by hand. And now, you see that guy pop off. And it's even got a little O-ring on there. Also noticed that I don't know if it's when this was assembled or disassembled during factory or whatnot. I don't know if somebody disassembled it at some point before I got it, just to double check being that it was a sponsored unit. But you can see the area where those grub screws grip onto it, and it upsets me to say that those threads do get eaten away. I think these grub screws should have a small little rubber cap instead of just like metal on metal. So be super careful and never twist this with those in. Now to get the hop-up unit out, or I guess the bucking, you're just going to press on the barrel, and it might be a little bit stiff to start. And this is probably as far as you're ever going to have to take this thing down, hopefully, as long as everything stays nice and strong. You could see your barrel, your inner barrel, this small little casing, and your hop-up rubber. It's a very odd little casing they have on the outside here. It doesn't actually split in two. You kind of just have to like mush the bucking out of the casing. Just be super careful not to tear it. And while we're here, why don't we pop the bucking off? Now, aside from your simple run-of-the-mill brass barrel that you may want to upgrade, the accuracy was honestly pretty decent, but like I said, you might want to upgrade it. Let's take a look at the bucking. So the patch connection is like a small little V shape, kind of hugs the BB, and it opens up into like a triangle, so it does have a decent amount of contact. The rubber itself is pretty firm too, and pairing that alongside your little pressure plate that applies pressure downwards on that contact patch, like so, seems to do a decent job. I had a blast with this thing, but I think it deserves a slight upgrade. So I'm going to throw a little quantum bucking in there, and then I'll reassemble the entire thing back together. Let's bring it on home. Wrap things up, and I'll share my opinions and feedback with the SSP28. We'll start off with the positives. This thing is comfortable. It's familiar, because obviously it's shaped like a Glock. And it's efficient, like very efficient gas-wise, in my opinion. It feels snappy. There's not a whole lot of recoil, but I feel like that's not what you're looking for if you pick something up like this. You're looking for performance. And overall performance is solid. It feels ergonomical. It feels comfortable. I think they did a wonderful job with this. It's pretty accurate. The TDC is readily available. The iron sights are pretty solid. There's no wiggling, no wobbling. Plus, I mean, the added base plates on the mags out of the box is so cool. I feel like more companies should start including base plates on their mags out of the box. So nice, so nice. Now, there's a couple things, and I didn't necessarily share these to you while filming generally. I wanted to wait until the end to share some of the negative thoughts that I had. They're not huge, but they're just a couple things that can be fixed or grounds for concern. First of all, the trigger. The trigger safety is very squared off and boxy, which means that it's not going to fail, right? The problem is if you don't depress this 100% of the way, it takes a little bit of a learning curve for someone like myself, because personally I don't use these style of triggers a lot. I usually switch them out on any of like my AAPO1s, my Glocks. If you don't depress it all the way, it still has the ability to get stuck sometimes, and obviously I can't recreate that. So maybe even just slightly filing that guy down or keep like more of a slight edge can help decrease the likelihood that happens. Again, small learning curve, not a big deal. The other thing, the mag catch. I don't know if you can see, but the place that the mag catches onto the latch, the slide catch, the place the slide catches onto the latch. As it slides back, it catches here, right? That slide catch is slightly angled, ever so slightly off center, pointing to the left. It's great because it's very easy to activate. However, the one downside is it doesn't have as much stability, so when you do jolt it around sometimes, it can fall off track. It's not going to happen while the mag is inserted, but when you do insert a mag hard enough, it'll do it itself. I think a simple solution is just to take a file and file that to like more of a straight vertical edge. It'll be a little bit harder to release the slide, but it's less likely it's going to slide back or drop forward on its own. The last thing that I'm not a huge fan of, I don't really love the exposed springs. A, for likelihood of damage, B, for likelihood of getting gunked up, and C, just because I don't really love the way that it looks. I wish those were hidden lower, but again, you don't notice it when it's closed, you don't notice it when it's firing. Just one thing. Everything else, though, beautiful job. I think they did an amazing job with the SSP28. I love the fact that I'm now working with Novritsch. They're a company that I've been following and using their stuff for a very, very long time. And I hope there are some more collaborations in the future. Let me know what you guys think. Remember, hype the video. It really helps out. Leave a like, comment, do whatever you do to help push it through the algorithm. And I'll see you on the next adventure. Peace.